speech this afternoon, your lecture with regards to Sulu and Tawi-Tawi province, hindi po ba talaga kasali ang Sulu at Tawi-Tawi sa usaping Bangsamoro?
Well, they have been part of the discussion and they're part of the proposed core territory. But when there's a plebiscite, they will have a choice. They can choose not to join or they can choose to join. And that's what will happen in 2015.
Sir, how many percentage of the populace we have to get the positive vote of joining to make them included?
The usual rule in the Philippines is whoever votes, a majority of those who voted. So if, for instance, only half the people vote and half the people vote to join, then it will be 25% who will vote to join. Because we don't have in the Philippines a rule which some countries have. Some countries say at least half the people must vote before it's a valid vote. But in the Philippines, there's no turnout requirement.
What is this thing that we heard, 10% of the population, 10% voting?
10% of the population of contiguous areas can request to be part of the plebiscite. So even if they join the plebiscite, they still have to have a vote in their area for joining.
When you say contiguous, it should be adjacent part or should be contiguous or?
The definition of contiguous will be in the basic law. The obvious part about contiguous is if they're right next door land-wise. But then there's the question of whether contiguous across the seas counts. So that, for instance, southern Palawan, where there are Muslims, is contiguous to Tawi-Tawi if you think about the sea. So that question needs to be specified in the basic law that the Transition Commission is going to write.
So are you saying, sir, that it is not yet clear in the Bangsamoro agreement?
It is not yet clear in the framework agreement exactly which territories might join. We do know which territories will join the plebiscite, and that is the core territories. The core territories is the current ARMM, 6 municipalities in Lanao Norte that are contiguous and voted to join back in 2001, but did not join because the province of Lanao del Norte as a whole didn't join, and also 39 barangays in North Cotabato province that are just like that. Ganun din sila, they voted to join in 2001, but since the whole province didn't join, they didn't join. That's clear. Any addition is not yet clear.
Okay. Sir, tungkol naman sa business naman po, ano po ba ang mga problema na nakikita ninyo o mga sinusolve ngayon? At ilang porsyento pa po ba ang kailangang masolve ng itong tinatawag na pag-uusap para masabi natin na talagang tapos na yung kanilang nilalatag ng mga batas tungkol sa business?
Well, it kind of depends on how you look at it. If you look at what will it take to establish true peace and unity in Mindanao and the Bangsamoro, we're talking decades, perhaps generations. If you're saying, how much will it take for us to have enough clarity to move forward, that's something that we can get done in a year. It seems to me perfectly possible that we can get a basic law passed within, a basic law drafted by the middle of 2014, given to the Philippine Congress, passed into law by the Philippine Congress, and a plebiscite in early 2015. The nice thing about making peace is that the peace dividend is almost automatic, because as soon as there's peace, business can flow, people can sell their crops, they don't have to worry about whether or not they can harvest what they plant, and so on. So peace automatically improves people's welfare. And so it's nice to have a quick peace dividend. Longer term, the business community will have to see what will the policies of the new Bangsamoro be. Will they be friendly towards business? Will they give investment incentives? Will they provide reliable power? Will they provide opportunities to invest in agriculture and manufacturing? Those kinds of policies. But that's part of any government, any governing entity. How friendly will they be to business?
Sir, meron kasi kanina dito mga clergy. Meron po rito pare. Nabasok lang sa isip ko, paano po ba yung sa Bangsamoro? Ita-tax po ba yung mga religious organizations?
No, the religious organizations will have the same rights in the Bangsamoro as they have in the Constitution. That is, they'll be tax exempt and like that. The fact of the matter is that if you look at Islamic history, in historical times, like the Ottoman Sultanate in Turkey and so on, they got on very well with religious minorities, so that when the Spanish drove the Jews out of Spain, those Jews went to Ottoman Turkey. They went to an Islamic government. So Islam has had a lot of practice at tolerating religious minorities in its history. And the idea would be that if we have a moderate Islamic government in the Bangsamoro, if the clergy were part of the drafting of the Transition Commission's basic law, then we'll be able to have arrangements which will be satisfactory for everybody.
One example of an Islamic government is Brunei. The form of government that they have is that they are seems to be limiting the propagation of other religions other than Islam. Will that be the same with the Bangsamoro?
The fact of the matter is that Islamic government varies all around the world, and some of them do indeed, as you say, limit the propagation of other faiths. My firm prediction is that won't happen here. And the reason why that's my firm prediction is because they will be citizens of the Philippine Republic. They will be, whether Bangsamoro or outside the Bangsamoro, all having the same rights. And so it would be unconstitutional for that kind of restriction to be imposed.
Doing business inside the Bangsamoro, so will do people outside who wants to visit Bangsamoro and do business, will they be given some pamphlets or educate them of the what to do and what not to do inside Bangsamoro?
Definitely. The negotiators have made it plain that they're trying to learn how to attract business. They're trying to have a more invigorated board of investments and special economic zones and the like, because they believe that there are vast potentials in the Bangsamoro for agriculture, for mining, for gas and oil extraction that have not yet been tapped. And so they're looking forward to having the political authority to offer those kinds of incentives.
Do you have any questions?
Sir, one last question with regards to this declaration, MNLF Declaration of Independence. Does they have the right to declare, as the group of Naramiswari, does they have the right to declare Bangsamoro independence? For Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, Basilan.
After the repeal of the anti-subversion law in the 1990s, speech like that is freedom of speech. So in the sense of, is it their freedom of speech to say that? Certainly they have the right to say that. In fact, in most countries that have genuine autonomy, there are political parties who talk about independence. So in Canada, the province of Quebec is different because they speak French, and there's an independence party there. In the province of Catalonia in Spain, It's an autonomous region, and it has an independence party. Even Scotland has an independence party within the United Kingdom. So a lot of places have parties that advocate independence, but they advocate it peacefully. They are saying, if we win a vote, this is what we will do. And the fact of the matter is, they never win the vote, because most of the citizens in those places don't want independence. They want special autonomy. They want to be treated with respect. The Catalans want the Spaniards to treat them with respect. The Quebecois want the English-speaking Canadians to treat them with respect. So they don't want independence. They want to be treated with respect. Having said that, the position of the Moro National Liberation Front has been since 1976 not for independence, but rather for autonomy. And the published public version of what Chairman Miswari said was that while he was thinking about independence, he still needed to consult the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and so he has not yet called for it. In that sense, it would be a change in the MNLF's position if they started calling for independence.
Okay. So are these two provinces, Sulu and Tawi-Tawi, are also being monitored with
third-party monitoring? Yes. The third-party monitoring team is actually very small. We're only 5 people with a couple of assistants, each one of us. But for instance, my organization, the Asia Foundation, we have projects in Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi, so that my project officers can feed me information about what's going on there. We talk to the ulama, we talk to the Catholic clergy, we talk to the local government units, and we do surveys of ordinary citizens. So in that sense, yes, we are monitoring.
You have any connection with the International Monitoring Team?
IMT. The International Monitoring Team is about cessation of hostilities, and so it focuses on armed interaction. So we have no organizational involvement. However, the rules are that they have to give us their reports. So we will get the reports from the International Monitoring Team.
They're still under third-party monitoring team.
They have their own separate organization, but the agreement is that their reports will be furnished not only to the two parties, but will be furnished to us so that we have the same information.
But both of you are
Under OPA?
under the commissioning of OPA?
No. The International Monitoring Team is given direction by the two parties, the negotiating parties, but the funding does come from the Philippine government. The third-party monitoring team, the funding doesn't even come from the Philippine government. The funding comes from overseas sources. So we are not under anybody. That's why we are independent. That's why we're independent, and we're allowed to publish what we want to publish.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your time.